Okay. Well, welcome everybody to Artscape to Heartscape. We're excited to be together on Sunday night to have prayer and conversation. And Artscape to Heartscape in particular is the opportunity to listen for where God is active in our lives, especially specifically as creatives, as artists, and a chance to bless each other by being in this space and to encourage and meet new people. So I'm gonna turn this over to Adrienne so she can introduce our Artscape to Heartscape for Convergence tonight.
Thank you, Lisa. So tonight we have a friend of mine, Lynn Garlick, and Lynn is from Greenwich, Connecticut, another Connecticut person. And Lynn, I always tell Convergence, my friends here at Convergence, that I love to introduce artists to Convergence, and I also love to introduce my Convergence friends to artists. And so welcome to
Hey,
Artscape to Heartscape. And again, Lynn, we're just going to have a conversation.
okay.
Okay. So no one's going to put you on the spot. I really want to hear about what you do. This is the first time. Lynn is a docent at a museum called the Bruce Museum here in Connecticut. And a couple of times I've been to Lynn's house where she's hosted art critiques. And when I was at her house, I happened to see some of Lynn's work and I was so pleased. But Lynn also, being a docent, she gives wonderful, wonderful tours. And I just thought it would be fun to have you share what you do, how you
Okay.
do it, when did you decide to do it? Because that's what we love to talk about here at Convergence, and we have another branch where we call soul makers. And
Oh,
I'm always interested in what's going on in our souls and our spirits that allow us to be who we are. And so
hmm
you as a docent, it really struck me because you had a tour with our pen women
yeah.
and and I missed that tour, but I cannot tell you how many people have told me you got to take a tour with Lynn because she's so knowledgeable and well versed in what you do. And so I didn't know that being you were a docent at the Bruce. I go to the Bruce, but I didn't
Oh,
know that you were a docent until our group told me what a time I missed. And so, first of all, what when did you know that you had this gift, this wonderful gift of being an artist?
oh, when I was teeny.
Teeny.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like 2, 3 years old, and my mother took by the way, hello, everybody. Lovely to meet you. My mother, I actually have a black and white photo. I have the family album, and I'm at a chalkboard and I'm drawing a stick figures. And so mom says to me, why don't you put a hat on that one? So I put a hat on it. So I started drawing at a very young age. And then when I finally got into grade school, kindergarten, first grade, I didn't like taking naps. And they always made us take naps. That's boring.
Right.
So my teachers were very kind and they let me draw while everybody napped, and they also let me do drawings on the chalkboard with colored chalk. That was really fun. I liked all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I discovered that I have the God-given gift is I'm able to draw what I see. It's eye-hand coordination, really. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't do that, and I realize as I've gotten older and older, it's true. Certain people are born with an eye that they can draw. Other people can't. They have other talents. They can sing, they can dance, they can whatever, write.
Hmm.
So it's a God-given talent. And I really wanted to grow up and be an artist, but you know what? I had to make a living. I had to put myself through school. And so I never could be an art major. So instead, I was an art history major.
Oh,
And so that's how I gotten into art so deeply, and you believe me, you learn from artists by studying artists.
So how often are you painting or doing your art?
I wish I was doing it all the time. I try to do a painting. A good drawing painting takes me, I'm looking around this room here, takes me about 4 hours. I love gouache paint. That's a
Hmm.
water-based paint.
Right,
And then I usually use the 18 by 24 size because that's convenient.
right,
Keep it to my drafting table, which is right over here,
right.
and draw, get my concept for, I think all writers and artists say this, the hardest part is the blank piece of paper. What am I going to write? What am I going to draw? Blah, blah, blah. But I keep my eye out all the time for things that interest me and make my paintings, make my drawings. So by the time I start, tape it down, blah, 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 an 18 by 24 takes me about 4 hours. So generally speaking, I get motivated when there is an art contest and I want to enter.
Okay,
Then I get busy.
okay. So you do a lot of entries.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
It's a good
okay.
motivator. It
Yeah,
forces you. Otherwise, you get lazy,
okay.
Say, oh, manana.
So it only takes you 4 hours.
Yeah, yeah. But
That's
you got to realize, um, I um, I've been educating this because after I got my first degrees in art history, and then a master's in education because I taught, was a school teacher, got married, had kids, blah, blah, blah. But I'd always wanted to develop my art. So I went back to school and got my BFA in illustration and graphic design. So that, and the reason I wanted to do that was because I really wanted to get familiar with the various materials and paint
hmm.
and what have you.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm pretty quick, is that I'm familiar with the materials and I know how to use them.
Wow, wow. And so gouache, is that your
Yeah.
favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gouache.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is my absolute all-time favorite. And I think I know why.
Why?
Because when I was in grade school, I did posters in tempera.
Okay.
And so I just am familiar with that. I have oils and acrylics and pen and inks. I can do all of it, but gouache is the one that I really like.
That's interesting. That's
Mhm.
interesting. I like gouache. But my problem is I like all of them. I like oil. I
Yeah,
like pastels. I love,
right.
you know, acrylics or whatever. And right now I'm on a kick with watercolor.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
you know, um, I
Well, I
do.
like them all too, but that's
Yeah,
the one I tend to go back to. Yeah.
yeah. So you find that, and you don't have to worry about it drying. I mean, because
That's the other
it's
thing. Oil, you have to be
right.
patient. I'm not patient. So, well, sort of patient, but
So do you have any upcoming contests? Do you have any work that you're doing right now?
no, quite honestly, I've been what pays the bills. I'm an interior designer. As
Okay.
I said, I have to earn a living. So I got my interior design degree also from the New York School of Interior Design. And design has been very good to me. I've been in it close to 49 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
Lynn.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a long client list. So those clients keep calling me back. So,
Right.
that's, you can't turn down work.
No, no, you
So,
can't.
so
You
I've
can't.
been doing that. I do at least one tour a week at the Bruce easily. And now with the election and everything, I've been very active in that because I'm disturbed with our country.
Okay. Well, now let's go back. You said that you're doing one tour a week
Yeah,
at the
about that,
Bruce,
yeah.
at the Bruce. And
Sometimes two, depends.
and how long have you been with them?
I believe I tell you, I was a docent at the Aldrich Museum in Ridgefield,
Yep.
Connecticut during the 80s, 1980s when I was married. And the reason I did that, the Aldrich is strictly contemporary
Right.
working artist.
Right.
And the reason I did it is I wanted to keep myself abreast of what was going on in contemporary art.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I really learned how to docent and get to lead a tour and loved it. So I would go up on usually on a Sunday afternoon and do a tour at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Then life happened and blah, blah, blah. So I got back to Greenwich and went to work with a large design firm. and finally went out on my own. And then I said, now I can go back to docening. And I went to the local museum, which is right over there, and volunteered and fell into it very easily. Loved it. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So let's give them just a mini tour
Sure.
of the Bruce, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is a place where, like I said, I enjoy, especially since it's renovations here. Let me just.
Yeah. There you go.
So there we go. So this
Okay.
is this is the Bruce.
Okay, let me just tell you, the Bruce was founded on this is the east side, and this is the latest edition, which opened in 2023. $67 million
Oh
was
my.
raised for this. But originally, the museum started as a mansion. Mr. Bruce gave his mansion to the town of Greenwich in 1908 with the caveat that it be a museum of art, science, and history. So the first edition was in 1992-93, which is when I joined, and then they put on this recent edition now, okay? So this
Okay.
is a huge, and the idea of the architect was to make this wall look like the granite walls and mountains of Connecticut.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I
Oh,
love this.
yes. This is by Gabriel Dawes. He's a young Mexican American artist. And
Hmm.
he did this installation for the opening of the museum. And what's interesting is that Mr. Bruce said it has to be a museum of art, science, and history. So this is where I start all my tours because this is the color prism, which gets into science, but it
Mm.
gets into the color and the design that's art. And then it leads me right into, I get to give a spiel on Mr. Bruce and how he gave us the museum originally. So I
Okay.
start here with this, and then he's a lovely young man. And we had a video of him installing this with two assistants. It took him 3 days. And then they took the video down. And then Mr. Dawes was very generous. And within the last 6 months, he donated this to the museum. So this is a permanent installation now.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
This is an interesting fellow. This is Moses Roz. He was our artist in residence this year, and he had a whole studio by himself and everything. So what he did is it's art, science, and history. So we have a whole section that is on science, and it has to do with the Connecticut landscape and what's happening with climate change and everything. We
Mm.
also had another artist who was an abstract artist, and she used white lines and white figures. So we took the artist and what was in the museum and created this. And what it's about really is the white animals
Hmm.
are animals that are endangered or extinct. And so he created this whole vignette right here, which is right at the top of the stairs where I start with the color prism. So the color prism strings, by the way, that those strings are sewing thread. Can you imagine the millions of
Oh,
threads that
wow.
are in that, right? So that color prism relates beautifully to Moses, and
Yeah.
Moses is also Mexican and
Hmm.
American, and he's a retired architect. And now that he doesn't have to work as an architect anymore, he gets to have fun and be an artist.
Isn't that
Yeah,
wonderful?
he's a nice guy, really nice guy. Ah, and that is, we have one gallery which is for sculpture only, and you can see by the floor, that is a porcelain floor with beams under it that can handle very heavy sculptures. Right now, we happen to have a display by Isamu Noguchi, and a lot of you may be familiar with him as a Japanese American artist. And he's most famous for his furniture. There's a coffee table that everybody in the whole world would recognize, chairs
Hmm.
that you would recognize, et cetera, et cetera. But he's an artist and he works mainly in wood and outdoors and indoors. He decided to use galvanized steel. So this is one of his latest. And this is the gallery is divided into three sections with themes for three of the sculptures. And this particular corner has to do with the human being. This is a standing figure. The top is the head. And if you get real close, and if you're close enough, you look in the middle there, you see your face. So it's the human reflecting the human soul.
I
And
see.
behind it there, behind it, that is a beautiful sculpture that is based on the Buddha, you know, the kneeling Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this. It's a very beautiful piece. So when I give a tour, I get down on the floor and I do the Buddha pose so they can see how it relates.
Very nice. I love this piece.
Yeah. Now, when Mr. Bruce gave us the museum in 1908, the town said, "Oh, thank you," and it just sat there. So in 1912, over here at the Bush Holly House, which is where the Historical Society is,
Mm-hmm.
it was a rooming house. And artists from New York, from the Art Students League, came out during the warmer weathers and roomed there and then went outside and painted what they saw. Because we had the oil tubes at that point. That's called in plein air painting outside. So this is a beautiful piece by, this one is, this is Henry Bill Selden, and it is called Stony Brook. And what's beautiful about it is in this section, I talk about Connecticut Impressionism, because this group of artists went to Paris in the 1870s and met the Impressionists and were very impressed by them.
Right.
They came back and they took the French Impressionism and adapted it to an American mode. So this is Connecticut Impressionist from that period. Stony Brook, and I love it because these rocks are all different beautiful colors, and you
Yes, they
can see
really
the
are.
tree
Yes.
reflecting in the water and everything. It's perfect because Impressionists concentrated on how the light hit
Yes.
whatever it hit, and you emphasize it that way. And I know that trick, and so I get to explain that to my visitors because I paint. I understand how where the artist is coming from, how he put that paint on the canvas. It's a very beautiful piece.
It's
So
beautiful.
anyway, in 1912, these impressionists, Child Hassam and this artist, and we're going to show another one, I think, they said, you know, what's happening to the Bruce Mansion? And they said, nothing. So they went to the town of Greenwich and they said, can we use the mansion to have an art show? We need to sell paintings. We need to make a living. And the town said, fine, knock yourself out. So they raised money and they took the kitchen and the pantry and they knocked down walls and they put a skylight in. And the first show was held in 1912, and then
Wow.
they had it every other year. And then it was the basis of these paintings that started the painting collection of the Bruce Museum. By the
Mm,
way, the Bruce now has over 31,000 pieces of art and
amazing.
sculpture and science stuff. It's a
Amazing.
big collection, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the start, and Bruce owns all this, and I have to be very honest with all of you, it's worth millions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very valuable. It's very beautiful. It all hangs together nicely. So when you're giving a tour, it's easy to go from one to next.
Yeah.
This is by I know Samuel Harkness McCrae. Now he was in this Impressionist school, but there were a couple of Impressionist points. One was here in Greenwich, one was up in New Lyme, and one was in Mystic. Okay, this artist happened to start out up in Lyme, I think, but then he eventually ended up in Darien, Connecticut. This is a scene in Darien, Connecticut. Now, what's interesting is this is a very good example of Impressionism where colors are put next to one another, concentration of color and everything. And it's very heavy. The paint is very heavy, which is called impasto when paint is piled on top of it. So I lead a lot of children's tours and I have them sit in front of this painting and we discuss it. And they always comment on it's a snowy day, the trees are different, there's water. We discuss all kinds of things. And I said, what do you think this painting's called? They say, snowy day, trees, snow, water. And I said, you know what it's called? It's called the Red Barn. Can you find the red barn? Oh, they're so cute. Oh, there's the barn right there.
Right.
It's a
It's
beautiful
beautiful.
painting
It's
too.
beautiful.
Very
Yeah.
beautiful painting.
Yeah.
Ah, my favorite. This is Matilda Brown. Now, she was part of this group too. She started up in line, but then ended up with the Connecticut Impressionists. She worked down here in Greenwich. Now, I have to say, this is the late 19th, early 20th century. This school worked about 1890 to 1915 or so. And women were not part of this school. There were
Yeah.
only very few women. These were men. Matilda Brown was different. Her parents recognized what talent she had at a very young age and sent her to art school. And she was very well respected. And her specialty was cows.
Mm,
Right? She could paint any cow. So this is a very beautiful painting where you can see the light coming in from the left corner there.
yeah.
And it hits these cows. And where the light hits, the artist Matilda takes her white paint and little flick here, little flick here, little flick here. And that's how a very good trick for all of us artists. For instance, if you do a portrait, you always have a flick of white in the eyes where the light is
Right.
in your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very beautiful painting too. Ha!
Yeah.
Now we go crazy. Same period, but now we have many wonderful benefactors, members of the Bruce that have contributed a lot of money. And Mr. Renfred is one. He contributed $15 million to this recent edition, with the caveat that he have his own gallery. So he has his own gallery where paintings from his collection are in this gallery. This happens to be Georges Braque, French artist, still life, and it's leading into Cubism. All right. And
Mm,
it hangs right next to a Renoir, which is very soft and realistic. So this is another favorite place where I sit the children in particular, and we discuss this.
that's
What out of the mouths of babes is just wonderful.
right. Right. Okay, and now,
Oh my God.
so
Going from Brock,
before
this,
we talk about this piece, though,
yeah.
what is your favorite? What's your favorite at the Bruce? What's your favorite wing? What's your favorite uh part
Yeah,
of the?
yeah. I talk about all of it and it's all fascinating. And part of it is the conversation I have with people and the feedback I get from them because I engage. But I hate to, quite honestly, I really do love the collection, the Connecticut Impressionist School.
Yeah, yeah,
That
me too.
really always gets me. And I think
Yeah,
it's because I can relate to the way they paint and draw.
yeah. Now that I would say that would be mine
Yeah.
too. It's just beautiful. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful. So now this is your work.
This is my work, yes. We go
Oh,
from Brock to Lynn Garlick. Now, this is, I'm a realist artist, as you can see. So this was, I believe, 1990 or so. And um, it's a painting literally from the soul. I had gone through a divorce. I was divorced in 1989. We had to sell the house and I was renting and blah, blah, blah. So I was in this rental in Fairfield, Connecticut. And I was feeling very down. And I said, this is crazy. So what I did is I brought my stool out and this water pitcher I have in many of my paintings. I love paint drawing and painting glass. And I put a lemon in it because life was yucky.
mm,
Life was awful. So I did this and it was right by a window. You can see the reflection of the window here and wood floor. And life gives you lemons, make
and
lemonade.
make lemonade.
Yeah. So this is a gouache painting. This is the 18 by 24 size I was telling you about.
Yeah.
So this helped me, made me feel better.
So Lynn, let's talk about that just for a minute. I'm
Sure.
curious. You, it was a tough period,
Yeah,
and art helped to bring you through it.
that's right. And I'll tell you how. When you can concentrate on creating a work of art, you forget your troubles. They take a back seat and it gives you a relief from whatever happens to be bothering you. Create something that you're pleased with at the end. And I was pleased with this. I felt better. So I think my art really helps me settle down, handle my moods. And then when you come out of this, you feel stronger. You say, okay, I'm going to make it. It's going to be okay. Life's
Yeah.
going to work out. And
Yeah.
I knew it would, but you know how all of
Right.
us go through ups, downs, ins and outs.
Sure. 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 That's beautiful. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you.
really is.
Oh, and this is a sweet piece. Here in Greenwich, Connecticut, we're on the water and we have a wonderful park called Todd's Point, which is down on the water, and you take long walks around there. So I go down and I find long walks out in nature very helpful too. So I was there, and this old couple was sitting there under their umbrellas, just sleeping and watching the sea. And this was before, if you look in the way background there on the horizon line, that's before the two towers were shot down.
It's
So
before
I took,
9/11.
snapped a picture of them, and then I made another painting of them. But they touched my heart. They were so sweet out in nature, watching the water and minding their own business and happy. And their lawn chairs were different. The umbrellas were different. The whole thing just caught my eyes. I said, as an artist, you're always looking for, I am always looking for subject matter.
Yes.
So when you see something that grabs you, now I know I have in my collection of photographs, I have another photograph down at Todd's Point on the beach where there are a lot of people and a lot of umbrellas. So I'm going to get to that one.
Right. Right.
Now that I've said it, I've got to do it.
Now you will do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's I love your work and I love those pieces that you did. Talk to us about how your faith has impacted your work. I mean, you touched on it a little bit here, but you were over at the Episcopal Church. I'm assuming you're also a part of that whole art group
Oh,
there too.
art group you're talking about Christ Church, right?
Christ Church.
Big
Mm-hmm.
Episcopal Church here in Greenwich, everybody.
Yeah.
Um, I've been a member since 2000, so
Mm-hmm.
25 years. And there's lots of wonderful things we do, activities, but we don't have a specific art group.
Okay.
We've never had an art show or anything there. All right.
Okay. Okay. But I mean, I know, didn't you, like you have the art, you have the sculpture garden at the church. Wasn't that you?
Oh no, you talking about the cemetery?
Yeah, the cemetery, but then there's some other, I guess Rebecca and some other people did a whole art.
Oh my gosh, that was ages ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot completely about that. That was Rebecca Freddy's thing, and she contacted a couple of contemporary artists here in town, and she
Yes.
said, do an artwork that's going to disintegrate into the earth. So two pieces were created. And I know I do a cemetery. I'm a historian at church, so I do a cemetery tour. The cemetery is really fascinating. It dates to 1840. So during Halloween, I usually do a cemetery tour. So that year, I happened to include those two pieces and
Okay.
explain them, and they have disintegrated
Yeah.
into the earth. They're no
Yeah.
longer there.
So
And then
yeah.
there's the beautiful piece in the Memorial Garden, the big cross.
Right.
That was commissioned by Lydia Stevens, who was the warden at that time. And that is a contemporary artist also. I don't know if he's even alive yet. That piece dates to 1980.
Okay. Okay.
It's a contemporary abstract kind of cross, but you can tell it's a cross.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So talk to us about how your faith has been impacted by your art.
Well, I have to tell you, I've been around, I'm 82 years old, so I've
I would
been
never
in,
know
out,
that.
all over the place, right? Up, down, in, out. I really feel um, a very blessed person. I feel I've been very fortunate in this life, actually, in the paths that have been thrown in my way, this, that, and the next thing. And I've always had a belief that God's watching out for me. It's just there. And it's always been there, and I totally, completely, and thoroughly believe it. And so that's why I feel being able to draw is a God-given gift. It's a gift he's given me to help me get through.
Yeah,
I'm a blessed person. I'm a very
yeah,
fortunate person.
and to be able to see the beauty
Yeah,
that's around, because I think a lot of times people miss it, even if
they
they're going
do.
through.
Yeah,
And that always it just it makes me sad because it's all around us.
right.
Like,
Well, yeah, Adrian, as Jesus said, when you look at your fellow human being, you're looking at me,
right.
you know? And if you really look at one another and look them in the eye, all of us are God's children and
Yes.
all are beautiful. We
Yeah.
all are valuable. I really
Yeah.
feel that. And if you can walk outside and go down to the beach or go anywhere and just look at this earth, it's
Yes.
incredible.
It is incredible.
There's scenes all over the place,
Yeah. But let me ask you a question. Have you been able, and this is what I've really been trying to do is because we're in such a you guys, New England, we're kind of spoiled and we kind of think that our area is the best part of the country. But
Don't tell that to these Virginia
I
people.
know, I know, I know. I'm trying to get them to come and visit.
Yeah,
So
come visit
when they
us.
come visit, we
I'll
can go
take you all to the Bruce
to the
Museum.
Bruce Museum. Exactly. But the other thing too is finding beauty even in the areas where you think there's nothing beautiful about it,
That's right. That's right.
and still being able
That's a
to.
challenge, I think.
But that's it's finding beauty even in the chaos, or even in what whether it's a little sprout coming up in a broken, cracked up sidewalk, and just
Yeah,
still looking for it, being intentional
that's
about
right.
finding it.
I agree. You just have to look for it. And I know that at Christ Church, for instance, we have a big complex called Neighbor to Neighbor. And
Right.
this is everybody, it's a building that we built where for people that are challenged with food and poverty and this, that, and the next thing. And in fact, I have three paintings in that building down
You
at Top
do.
Point. And because I was asked to do the interior design of that building by one of the parishioners, which I was glad to do. And then I had blank walls, and I said, "Oh, good Lord, what am I going to do?" And I couldn't afford to buy paintings or anything for them or prints. So I said, Where? So when I go down to Todd's Point, one thing I love about it is the whole world is there. You see all kinds of people, all ethnicities, languages. You hear all kinds of languages, and they're having picnics and they're playing and they're having fun. So I said, a lot of these people that would be go to neighbor to get food.
Mm. Right.
And so I said, what would they recognize? And so that's when I did the three scenes
I
at Todd's
see.
Point, because
Todd's.
I knew they would recognize that and
That's
they would feel
beautiful.
comfortable.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's one thing. And then we have Inspirica, where we do ministry over at a men's shelter and women's shelter, and
Hmm.
people that are really down on their luck
Right.
or
Right.
recently out of prison or
Right.
that kind of thing. So it's the challenge is going to those places and seeing the beauty.
And seeing the beauty,
Yes, and it's
and
there. It's
it's
there.
definitely there, and seeing the beauty, like you were saying, the image of God in each person.
Yeah, that's
And
real. And
that's
that's
what.
what really enters my mind when I'm
Yes.
in places like that, especially,
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that to
So,
me, like I have found that as an artist, as a visual artist, I started seeing it more and more as I continued to, as a singer, I mean, I I always I saw the beauty, but it's different now at being a visual artist.
yeah,
It's helped me to see even more, um, in a way that
yeah.
I hadn't. And do you find that?
I couldn't agree with you more, Adrienne. I think if you are an artist and you're always looking for subject matter, you just notice, or I speak for myself, and I think you're the same way.
Yeah,
You just notice stuff
yeah,
that other people go, what?
right,
Like I'll mention
right,
to someone, did you notice that? No, she was
right,
there. I didn't
yeah,
know she was there,
right,
or he
yeah,
was there or whatever,
yeah, Yeah.
So yeah, it's just being aware, and being aware I think that's a challenge for some people.
Sure.
I just
Sure.
think you can get all wrapped up in other stuff, and I understand that, especially if you're raising children or you're taking
And
care
you're
of
busy and
elderly
right.
parents
Right.
or you're working, or you're this, that, and the
Yes.
next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lynn, let me ask you, so who was your inspiration
For my art, you mean?
for your art, for your way of thinking? Were you
Okay.
raised in a
Yeah.
home that
I would say the first person that really impressed me was Mrs. Raposo. This
Miss
was in Hawaii,
Raposo?
Mrs. Raposo. I was born in Hawaii and grew up there on the little island of on Kauai, little town of Lihue, Kauai. So I went to
Mhm.
public school, and Hawaii is very diverse. You have all
Mhm.
kinds of races. All right. So in my classrooms, say there were 40 kids, four of us were Caucasian. Okay.
Mm,
The rest were Asian, or in Hawaiian, we say hapa, that means half Chinese, half
right.
Hawaiian, half blah, blah, blah. So anyway, our teachers were also very diverse. Mrs. Raposo was Portuguese, and she was a doll, and she really encouraged me. That's when I really started to read. I remember reading Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, and been hooked on reading ever since. I read a book a week. I love to read. So, and she's the one that let me do the first, second grade teacher, Mrs. Haig, Mrs. McCarry, Mrs. Raposo. Those three teachers, those early teachers really let me do my art instead of taking naps
Taking naps.
and drawing on the blackboard and everything. But Mrs. Raposo is the first one that mentioned college to me. I said, "What's college?" She said, "That's when you grow up and you graduate high school." I understood high school. And she said, "You go on to something called the university, and you learn more and more and more." And she said, I think you should go to college, Lynn." I said, "Okay, I
Right.
think that's a great idea." So I went home and I told my dad about this. And my dad said, "Oh, that's interesting." He said, "Well, Lynn, that's a good idea." He said, "Who's going to pay for it?" I said, "You have to pay for college?"
Mhm.
"Yeah, you got to pay for college." That is when I made up my mind. I was going to go to college come hell or high water.
Right.
And so I told Mrs. Raposo about. She said, "Well, Lynn, you'll get a scholarship," and I did.
Wow.
That's what I did.
Wow.
So
Lynn,
I would say Mrs.
Mrs.
Raposo.
Raposo.
She
Now,
sticks with me.
okay, now I'm going to ask another question in the same vein, but how about your inspiration, your faith journey?
I was raised a Christian. All right. So we went to church from an early age. We were members of the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod in Lihue,
Okay.
Hawaii. So this is young, first grade, second grade. And I remember I learned about Jesus, and I remember saying, "Did Jesus really live? Was that real?" And so the Pastor Alport, I remember, and his wife in particular was very kind. And we used to have Sunday school in their kitchen, and it always smelled of pancakes and waffles. So I had a faith that there was a Jesus and a God the
Oh,
Father. I just accepted that.
a long time ago.
Yeah, a
A long
long time
time
ago.
ago.
So it's stuck
Yeah.
with me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Lynn, this is great. I always like to leave time for convergence if there are people who have questions for
Sure.
you. So I want to see if there's anyone who has a question, and we'll take them at this time, and we'll see where this leads us. So, convergence. Is there anyone who has a question for Lynn?
I'm going to jump in if that's okay.
That would be great.
Um, Lynn, I love listening to you talk about art. I can see that you're a fabulous docent because it's not just the details about the pieces, but I can tell that you really believe in the power and the magic
Yeah.
behind the work, and that really comes across. And I was wondering, as a designer, I mean, I think a lot about God's design and the way that God has designed the world, and just the
Yeah.
effect that these things have on shaping who we are. And so then also taking that seriously as creatives, as artists, in what we create, understanding that those things, even though maybe most people don't understand how much the created world, as well as what we create, how much of an effect that actually has on us,
Mm-hmm.
that it really does. And so I was wondering if you've thought, like, how do you think about that connection between design and the way that you think and the way that you see, and how God designs, and that just, I don't know, the impact that the world has on us.
Yeah. That's a good question. I just think God's an artist. God is an artist. I really do. He created this beautiful world, more than 7 days, I guess, but whatever. It's here and it's so beautiful. And I had nothing to do with the creation of the world. I'm just here to enjoy and look at it, you know? And when I'm taking tours through, one thing I've noticed is pointing out the work of art in particular, but I also try to include some of the background of the artist, the time, et cetera, et cetera. And I get all kinds of interesting, so, people I think really do look at the beauty of this world. I think a lot of people feel it. I really do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for sharing.
Okay.
Anyone else? I'm always amazed. Everybody kind of hides
Everybody's
out.
quiet.
Joanna, thank you for having your camera on.
Oh, yeah, of
Yeah, I'd love to
course.
see your faces.
Okay. I do have one question. I'm just trying to organize my thoughts. Um, I'll try because I see that you have been doing so many things. Some are that, for example, interior design, you have to think about function. You have to, yes, yeah, you have the sink has to be someplace. Yeah, right. You have to think about function. You have to think about applicable, how to
Mhm.
apply your design into everyday life. And another part, that fine art, you draw, that's your personal expression. And being a docent, that's more educational. You have to
Mhm.
think about how to benefit others, what to bring in, what kind of resource or information you want to pass on. Just trying to understand, of you, maybe you can share how you manage your thought process. Yeah, so that it doesn't get too chaotic. Yeah, or it's just natural. You can manage, this is the time I need to think about this, and that's the time I
Yeah,
need to think
yeah,
about that. Yeah, just, yeah,
yeah.
fascinating.
Okay, John,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the best things, as I think I mentioned, I went to Ed graduate school at the University of Berkeley. I was a third grade teacher. All right, my first career. And one thing that you learn in ed school and becoming a teacher, you learn how to be organized. That was the best part of that, of my education, because when you have 43, 40 third grade kids, boy, if you don't have control of that classroom, you're in trouble, all right? So you have to be very organized. So I tend to be very organized. And usually I have an outline in my mind. For instance, as I mentioned, I'm an interior designer. So a lot of people will say to me, well, what's your style? That sends me off into outer space because I do not have a style that I foist on people.
Right.
Okay, so I meet a person and I go into their home, and it is really a time to get to know one another. And so I ask a lot of people what they like, colors they like, how their life works, et cetera, et cetera. So in my mind, I start organizing their life and where they're coming from and the colors they want and everything. And I say, okay, you've given me some good ideas. I usually make a suggestion or two. Generally speaking, that goes pretty well, and we take off from there. But you can't be chaotic. I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't operate that way. I have to have a plan. Does that answer your question? No.
Yeah, yes, but for example, if you do have an interior design project going on and you have a tour in the museum the next day,
Yeah,
right? So how does your mind operate in that kind of situation?
because I have a big white calendar here, and
Right.
everything is written down on this calendar for each day. And so I know that I have an interior design, an installation. Let's say I have a huge drapery window treatment installation. Those kinds of installations in big houses generally take half a day easily, if not more, because I have to be there with my installer to make sure things don't go wrong, right? That day is dedicated to that project. When I come home, once I have that safely installed, I come and look at the calendar, what's on for tomorrow. And I see that I have a tour on for the following day, and it's with fifth graders, and the topic is portraits. Then I know that I've got to get organized for that. And I go through the Bruce collection and I select usually three portrait type things to take my third graders to, or my fifth graders, and sit them in front of. And then I also have to do an art project with them at the end of the tour. So I take them to a classroom, and with portraits, I teach them how to draw their face and where their eyes are, 1/3 down, tops of the ears, line up with the eyes, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how I keep organized, is it's a day at a time. And then at the end of the day, I look at this calendar every single day, every night, every evening, what's on for tomorrow.
Yeah, that
Now,
answered my
I know
question.
that for this day, this was a big day. I knew it. So I went to church this morning, right? And then what did I have to do? Oh, then I had to go vote. I hope everybody voted. I should vote. And then I am very active in the Democratic Party here. So I went to headquarters and I made phone calls to people and left messages for about an hour and a half. And then I knew I had this. So I came home and I just went through the pictures that I sent to Adrienne to know, refresh my memory on everything, although I have it pretty solid in my head at this point. So now I'll finish this and I'll take a big breath and probably watch some football and then get back to reading my book and get ready for tomorrow. Now I know tomorrow I have docent training at 10 o'clock. So that's top priority tomorrow. And then I will make phone calls again for DTC tomorrow. So I've got it all organized in my,
Right.
you know, what I'm going to do. I would lay money you all do that. You do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I always tell
I
people.
don't think I'm unusual. I think that's
No.
pretty much how people operate.
I always tell people my day starts tonight. My tomorrow
Yeah.
starts tonight.
That's exactly right.
And in that, I have to prepare spiritually for tomorrow as well.
Yes.
So just like I will give the time for, assessing the day and then assessing my schedule for tomorrow. And then I have to assess, where did I meet you? Where did you meet me today, God? And where did I miss the mark today? And help me do better for tomorrow. So that
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not going to take me by surprise,
Yeah.
unless, meteorite or something falls from the
Yeah.
sky. But
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Adrienne. You're more concentrated and specific, though, on asking God about the day. And I always, when I wake up in the morning, I say, thank you for letting me wake up.
yeah, that's right.
And when I go to bed at night, I say, thank you for this day, dear Lord. And if
Exactly.
something's bothering me,
Yes.
I just lay in bed and talk to God.
Right.
and then it calms me down, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So it's a matter of, yeah, you got to be in touch with that
Right.
calm.
Yeah.
That spirit.
Question,
That
Joanna.
spirit.
Oh,
Would-
I just, yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
So Lisa always talk about framework. I think, yeah, I think this is what I'm asking, just how day-to-day framework looks like for artists. I think being very intentional. This is what I learned from your sharing. Be very intentional to build a framework for all the artistic intuition or needs or desire, so that if I don't have this framework, I don't think I can develop my artistic pursuit, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you very much for your share.
Joanna, are you an artist?
I write and I try to sketch. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, okay, this is my struggle is, yeah, this is my struggle. So I want to see how other people operate. Yeah, how other people make it happen when they
Yeah.
have so many things that need to get done, and still don't want to let my artistic need be the last thing I take care. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I have to tell you, all my work starts with a sketch,
Oh,
just a little sketch, and then you got to hang on to it and then start to develop it. And then you've got to make the time to do that,
okay.
you know? So keep
Mm.
sketching.
Okay.
It'll grow. It'll
Thank
grow.
you. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for spending so much time on my questions.
Anybody else before we wrap it up? So Lynn, I have a question. So what's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? I'm doing a docent tour tomorrow.
Okay.
That's the first thing, all right?
Okay. All right. So and you said it's a new show. You have
No, in fact, unfortunately, we're going through a change at the museum right now. A couple months ago, the $67 million
oh, that's
the
right.
whole HVAC went kaput. So we're on a temporary HVAC, and they took some of the shows out, which is a shame. So, and we're changing to the shows now. So I have
Right.
very limited stuff there right now.
Okay.
So when we get the act back together and everything's working and we've got all the galleries filled, I'll contact Karen Hefner and we'll arrange another tour
Great.
for Greenwich Penguin. But I want the museum filled before I take people in again.
Right.
But this is a casual thing. It's at 1 o'clock. This is what's called a highlights tour, and it's for the general public when they walk in. All right.
Okay.
So, no, you know what? I take that back. Tomorrow is docent training because the museum is closed on Monday. It's the following later in the week that I'm having the show. All right.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
like I said, like all of us, I just look at the calendar in the evening and see what's going on tomorrow, you know?
Mhm.
It's a busy week, especially with the elections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about with your art? What with your personal art? What's next? Do you have is
Yeah, I've got a
an
couple of
upcoming
ideas. Yeah, I have
contest?
a couple of ideas in my head. I just got to get busy and get it done.
Okay.
It's the hardest part I find, whether you're a writer or well, for me, it's art, is just getting the idea, the concept. It's that blank page. So I collect ideas, and then one finally talks to me. For instance, on the back here, you see that still life back there?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so that's an idea I got a long time ago, and I had some pots and a pomegranate because I had to get it for something else. So I set up that still life, took a photo of it, and then a couple months ago, I was going through, what do I have on the docket? I pulled it out and did this painting.
Nice.
Yeah, so I have ideas, and it's just a matter of getting to it and going back to those ideas. So I've got a couple ideas stirring around in there.
Very good. Very good. Well, Lynn, I absolutely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation with me.
Oh, my
Yeah.
pleasure, Adrienne.
It really,
She says jump, I'd say how high. So
no, I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do. And thank you so much for this time. And
my pleasure. And thank you everybody for coming.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
So
Yeah, thank you. It was wonderful.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure.
look at that. It's 5:59.
Oh, she wrote a little note. That's nice. Thank you, Danielle.
Yes, and Patrice, thank you. Thank you all.
Yes.
Fired. Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Whoops.